I'm stepping away from PGA Tour events. Not because of injury or fear, but because of the tight rules over media and filming. What happens when a rising golf star refuses to bow down to the old system and dares to challenge golf's biggest power?
I will not be playing in a PGA Tour event is due to the rules and regulations around media rights and filming during tournament.
One player just walked off the biggest stage to protect something bigger. The bond he built with millions online. Could this fearless move be the moment golf's grip on its image finally cracks? This isn't just about skipping a tournament. It's a quiet rebellion shaking the sport's country club walls. A digital creator turned golfer just exposed how golf still struggles to handle real creativity and authenticity. And now the whole game might never look the same again. The clash between tradition and transformation has officially erupted, and it's rocking golf from the inside out. Grant Horvat just pulled a move no rising golfer would dare. He refused his golden ticket to the PGA Tour. That sponsor's exemption everyone fights for, he turned it down like it was nothing. This wasn't about fear or injury, it ran way deeper. It was about control, and staying real in a sport that loves polish over personality. His decision sent the golf world spinning. Confusion, disbelief, and whispers everywhere. Why would anyone walk away from what every golfer dreams of? A shot at the biggest stage in the game. The reason was simple. Grant refused to give up the bond he built with his audience just to follow old-school rules. His choice wasn't some random impulse. It was the result of a growing clash between golf's old guard and a new wave of players who connect in real time, not behind press walls. The PGA Tour's strict media rules banned him from filming or sharing his experience as it happened, cutting him off from the very fans who lifted him up. Grant's whole identity thrives on raw moments. The practice grind, honest talks, and real emotion. Without that freedom, playing felt empty. And with one bold move, he cracked open golf's tightly polished image. And the world started paying attention. It sparked a firestorm of questions. Who really controls golf's story? And can the old guard survive alongside creators demanding honesty and connection? Grant's choice wasn't just about skipping one event. It became a symbol of a storm that's forcing the sport to face its fear of change head-on. This whole movement traces back to an unexpected start in Grant's own life. Far from fame, far from bright lights. From a hesitant kid to a full-blown digital sensation, Grant's path to golf stardom was anything but normal. Growing up in Michigan with a golf pro for a dad, you'd think he'd have a club in his hands before he could even walk. But his journey took a totally different turn. For most of his childhood, golf didn't mean a thing to him. Football had his heart. Golf, it just felt dull and far away. But everything flipped when he hit 13. Curiosity finally kicked in, and he asked his dad for lessons. What came next was no casual hobby. It was a disciplined grind built on patience, trust, and real values that shaped him from the inside out. As Grant sharpened his swing, something bigger started forming. A connection. He wasn't just hitting shots, he was building a movement online. His videos weren't about fancy edits or perfect lighting. They showed the real grind, the raw sessions, the heart behind every swing, and fans loved it. He opened up about burnout, self-doubt, and the real grind behind the game. No filters, no fluff. That raw honesty hit deep with fans who were starving for something real. Suddenly, Grant's name blew up. Millions weren't just watching for birdies or bogeys. They were tuning in for him, his truth, his vibe, his connection. This digital wave flipped everything. Grant wasn't just another golfer chasing trophies. He became a storyteller, a builder of community, and his influence started matching the big pros. He proved that in this new era, your voice and your bond with fans matter more than any fancy title. But breaking the mold came with a price, and his biggest showdown with golf's old system was about to begin, right in front of the PGA Tour's eyes. The moment Grant's team reached out to the PGA Tour about filming his experience, the answer came back sharp. Absolutely not. The tour's media policy was ironclad. No personal filming, no behind-the-scenes content, no independent storytelling. That rule might have worked in the 90s, but for someone like Grant, it felt like being told to silence the very people who made him. Fans were furious. How could the PGA Tour block a player from sharing his own journey? For Grant, this wasn't just a restriction. It was a wall built between him and his audience. And in that moment, he realized something powerful. The system feared transparency more than anything else. Behind closed doors, the tension grew. Sponsors loved Grant's reach. His posts hit millions in hours, but the tour wanted control over every frame, every word. The clash became personal, not just professional. Some insiders whispered that the PGA feared losing influence if golfers like Grant kept building their own empires online. It wasn't just about golf anymore, it was about ownership. Who gets to tell the story? The organization or the player living it? Grant wasn't about to hand that power away. And by standing firm, he unknowingly drew a line in the sand that every future player would remember. When word broke that Grant had officially turned down the PGA invite, the internet exploded. Some called him reckless, others called him revolutionary. But one thing was clear. He'd shaken the table of golf's elite like never before. His choice became headline news, sparking debates on podcasts, talk shows, and golf forums across the world. People weren't just talking about golf anymore, they were talking about freedom, creativity, and the right to own your story. Even veteran players were caught off guard, admitting privately that Grant had the guts to do what many of them only dreamed of doing. Grant's defiance marked the beginning of something bigger, a new era in golf culture. Younger players started questioning the same rules, fans demanded more access, and brands began rethinking who really drives the sport's future. The PGA Tour suddenly found itself facing a generation that doesn't play by quiet, polished traditions. They play loud, bold, and unfiltered. And at the center of it all stood Grant Horvat, not just as a golfer, but as the face of a movement changing the game forever. The message was loud and clear. Golf's story no longer belongs to the gatekeepers. It belongs to the people who live it. As Grant's star kept rising, so did the pressure. The tug-of-war between his creative freedom and the PGA Tour's control got brutal. The real fight behind his decision came down to one thing: power. The Tour's media rules were still locked in the past, cutting off players from showing their real lives beyond the tee box. Sure, the PGA Tour had dipped its toes into digital stuff, but the core rule stayed ironclad. No personal filming, no vlogging, no independent storytelling during official play. For a creator like Grant, who built his empire on raw connection, that felt less like policy and more like a gag order. The Tour wanted stars, but only the kind they could script, edit, and own. And Grant wasn't about to let anyone write his story for him. Grant's refusal to play by their rules wasn't just a personal choice, it was a full-on challenge to golf's old hierarchy. The PGA Tour's obsession with controlling every storyline clashed headfirst with a new generation of athletes who own their image, their message, and their fan base. Grant's stand exposed something way deeper: the fight between golf's polished country club image and the digital era's craving for raw honesty and real emotion. This was never just about cameras, it was about control. Who gets to shape the future of golf? The gatekeepers or the players actually living it? The Tour tried to keep up with glossy shows and staged social clips, but compared to Grant's unfiltered creativity, it all looked fake. He wasn't just changing how people saw golf, he was redefining what it feels like. His bold stand forced everyone, fans, officials, and even players, to rethink what real connection means in modern sports. In this battle between control and freedom, something had to break, and when it did, the shockwaves spread way beyond one player or one tournament. The gap between the old-school elites and the new-age creators grew wider with every upload, as digital voices started reshaping golf's culture from the ground up. Grant Horvat's rise wasn't about chasing fame, it was about building a whole new golf world. A space where authenticity mattered more than trophies, and honesty hit harder than highlight reels. Through his raw practice clips, open talks, and genuine storytelling, Grant turned golf into something millions could finally relate to. Real, emotional, and human. Grant's approach flipped golf on its head. It stopped being something people watched and became something they felt. Fans weren't just spectators anymore. They were part of the grind, part of the story, part of the heart of the game. This new wave completely shut out golf's old gatekeepers. No big sponsors, no staged broadcasts, just creators with phones, passion, and raw footage showing the game as it truly is. Their followers weren't passive viewers, they were in it, cheering on the progress, embracing the flaws, celebrating every win and stumble. That blurred line between player and fan built something golf had always lacked: real inclusion. Suddenly, a sport once seen as stiff and out of touch came alive again, buzzing with energy, creativity, and pure authenticity. It pulled in a whole new crowd, younger, more diverse fans who didn't care about fancy trophies, but connected with the real grind and everyday wins and losses. Grant's rise proved one powerful truth: golf can evolve through honesty, not hierarchy, and through storytelling, not staged perfection. But as this raw grassroots movement exploded, it started shaking the walls of golf's oldest institutions. The clash got loud: tradition versus innovation, control versus creativity. Grant Horvat's story became more than just one-man stand. It turned into the symbol of golf's identity crisis. For decades, the PGA Tour controlled every image and every word. But now digital creators like Grant were tearing that script apart, and the establishment didn't know how to stop it. The PGA Tour's polished image had always relied on control. Every camera angle, every quote, every handshake was pre-approved. But suddenly, creators like Grant were showing golf as it really is: unfiltered, messy, and alive. It terrified the establishment. They weren't just losing control of content, they were losing control of the narrative. Behind closed doors, executives whispered about protecting the brand, but fans could see right through it. They didn't want perfection, they wanted truth. And with every upload, Grant proved that truth beats tradition every single time. Tension kept growing, and whispers turned into warnings. Some PGA insiders allegedly told Grant he was risking future invites and sponsorships if he kept filming. But he didn't flinch. He knew what he stood for: freedom, transparency, and connection. His stance wasn't rebellion for fame, it was rebellion for authenticity. Fans rallied behind him with full force. Hashtags blew up, clips went viral, and suddenly golf's quiet game had a full-blown movement roaring online. The establishment wanted silence, but Grant gave them a symphony. As the storm raged on, more creators began speaking up. Small YouTube golfers, local vloggers, and aspiring pros started following Grant's lead, refusing to let the sports hierarchy define their worth. The walls between golf's elite and everyday players started to crumble. For the first time, the fairways felt open again. Anyone with passion and a camera could join the story. This wasn't just evolution, it was a revolution in full swing. Golf was no longer about country clubs and status. It was about community, creativity, and the courage to be real. Even the PGA Tour couldn't ignore the shift anymore. Their old model of controlling every frame started collapsing under the weight of fan demand. People wanted authenticity, and the tour's silence only made Grant's message louder. Suddenly, sponsors were reaching out to digital creators directly, bypassing the system completely. Grant had done more than start a conversation. He'd changed the power dynamic. The gatekeepers no longer held all the keys, and the players no longer needed permission to speak. Golf was entering a new age, one led by voices unfiltered, unedited, and unstoppable. By sharing real, unfiltered moments that today's audiences actually feel, Grant cracked open the sport's old narrative monopoly. The PGA Tour tried to keep up, rolling out Netflix specials, boosting social media, loosening up a few traditions. But let's be honest, it all felt staged next to the raw fire of independent creators. The tour says it wants stars, but only the kind they can control. That's why Grant's refusal to play without filming hit so hard. It wasn't just rebellion, it was exposure. It showed the PGA's biggest fear, a future where players don't need permission to connect with fans. This wasn't just golf's struggle, it was a mirror of the bigger fight between authority and authenticity, happening across all of sports and entertainment today. Legacy versus self-expression. That's the real battle now. As athletes build their own brands through digital platforms, the old institutions are left with two choices: cling to control or evolve to survive. Grant Horvat's stand became that breaking point. The moment golf's future stopped belonging only to its past and started belonging to those brave enough to redefine it. This clash isn't just changing how golf is played, it's transforming how it's experienced. Grant's decision to walk away from a PGA Tour event, even with that golden ticket in hand, wasn't just personal, it was cultural. It signaled a shift in what golf values most. Not status, not tradition, but authenticity and freedom that can't be managed or muted. By choosing creative freedom over polished prestige, Grant forced the whole system to question what really defines a pro golfer. His decision lit a fire that now fuels a movement, one where authenticity and real fan connection matter more than scripted interviews or corporate approval. And the ripple effect, massive. Sponsors are waking up to the power of genuine storytelling and the loyal audiences it creates. More players are breaking away, carving their own paths, and the PGA Tour's grip on golf's image is starting to crack under the pressure. Grant's stand proved one powerful truth. In today's sports world, relevance isn't about trophies or titles anymore. It's about connection, creativity, and courage to be real. In the end, Grant's story mirrors the transformation shaking all of golf. It raises the question everyone's afraid to ask. Will the game keep clinging to its old traditions, or finally embrace innovation? Can it still honor its roots while thriving in a digital era built on creativity and openness? As the PGA Tour struggles to adapt, Grant's stand feels like a glimpse into what's coming next. A future where freedom, authenticity, and connection rewrite what success really means. Grant's bold move didn't just make headlines, it changed the conversation. He proved that realness beats reputation, and that in today's world, control will never outshine connection. His journey now stands as a challenge to the entire sport: evolve or get left behind. If you enjoyed this deep dive into how golf's world is being flipped upside down, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to Golf Swing, and share this video with someone who loves the game as much as you do. Drop a comment below. Do you think golf should stay traditional or open up to the new creative era? I want to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.